So this is my presentation topic, electromagnetic sensors for NDT and SSM, and I will be talking in this topic during the next 1 hour or so. My presentation, my talk will run through the following subtopics. First of all, I will touch upon a glimpse of electromagnetic sensors technologies that are being used in NDE and SSM and their contemporary advances. Since eddy current inspection is the most popular and versatile electromagnetic ND methods used in both field inspection and laboratory research, I will be covered in this talk in details. Then I will touch upon multi-frequency eddy current testings and pulse eddy current testings and their application potentials, wherein some of the issues being faced with conventional ECT and that those issues will be addressed upon. A perspective of electromagnetic research at the CSIR NML, wherein we at CSIR NML have developed some of the devices or technologies that are now being used by various stakeholders will be discussed also in this talk. And at last but not the least, our new ventures, our new initiatives in the frontier research will be highlighted in this talk. Now, I'll give a brief glimpse of electromagnetic ND activities. As you know, non-destructive evaluation or non-invasive techniques are of paramount importance nowadays for any engineering industries in determining the integrity of the materials, component or structure, or quantitatively measure some characteristics of an object. Non-destructive evaluation techniques enable safe and reliable operation of components and structures. ND techniques that use some form of electromagnetic excitation for NDT are called electromagnetic ND techniques. These primarily include eddy current technique, magnetic flux leakage, magnetic Barkhausen emission, potential difference, and microwave techniques. In these techniques, materials under investigation is excited electromagnetically, and the manifestation of electromagnetic fields due to materials anomalies or discontinuities that affect the electrical conductivity, magnetic permeability, or dielectric permittivity are measured using a sensor. The detection sensitivity, capability, and applicability of various electromagnetic techniques mainly differ. The general approach in electromagnetic ND techniques encompasses identification of suitable ND signal or image parameter and subsequent to optimization of the text condition and establishing appropriate calibration for quantitative evaluation or decision making. Contemporary advances, if you look at those parameters, you can see electromagnetic ND area are steadily growing upon, incorporating the contemporary advances in sensors, material science, numerical modeling, signal and image processing, and automation. Use of this array and integrated sensors, image fusion, inversion approach, and model-based investigation has significantly enhanced the scope and application of the electromagnetic ND techniques for material evaluation and component integrity. In order to improve the performance and reduce the noise from extraneous sources and enhance the signals, digital signal processing, image processing, and artificial intelligence are being increasingly applied, thus enabling increased the probability of detection of defects. Further, computer-based smart ND instruments and dedicated industrial systems are being more popular for automated ND and enhanced the manufacturing quality and productivity. As I already discussed, I will talk on eddy current based ND as it is extensively being used in the industrial sector. So as you know, eddy current inspection is one of the several methods that use the principle of electromagnetism as the basis for conducting examination. Eddy currents are caused by electromagnetic induction in conducting materials when the test object is placed in a time-varying magnetic field or of a probe or coil. In a standard eddy current testing, a probe or coil carrying AC current is placed near the specimen, which produces alternating magnetic flux around the coil. Now, if a conducting material come in close contact or close proximity with this coil, then alternating magnetic flux links with the testing material induces eddy current. This is the eddy current. The variation of magnitude and phase of this, and then this eddy current of this signal will generate some secondary magnetic field that will oppose of the primary magnetic field. Then, if some defect or any discontinuity come under in the flow of eddy current testings, then the impedance of the coil will be modified, as this is the impedance of final impedance of the coil, and the discontinuity will be represented as the impedance change of this coil. The variation of magnitude and phase is monitored by using a search coil or the same coil by measuring the change in current or impedance of the primary coil. If we look at the basic equation or basic model of eddy current testings, then it can be correlated with the transformer model or as a in a two-port network configuration. As we all know, according to Lenz's law, the induced current always flow in such a direction as to oppose the motion or change causing it. Therefore, and the electric voltage, that is primary voltage Vp, induced in the primary probe or coil is Vp equal to minus n ddt of phi p minus phi s, where phi p is the primary flux produced by the current flowing in the probe coil, and phi s is the secondary magnetic flux produced by the eddy current in the same specimen. N is the number of turns in the probe coil. Lambda p and lambda s are the geometrical parameters determining by the size, shape of the coil, lift-off distance, and the penetration depth as well. The complex electrical impedance, that is Vp by Ip, equal to Z probe, which is a function of omega, that is frequency, electrical conductivity, magnetic permeability, and geometrical parameters of the probe. Now, arguably, the simplest way to illustrate how change in the secondary coil can influence the electric impedance of the probe is by considering the simple case of an air-core transformer, as already I have talked about, formed by two inductively coupled coils shown in the figure. So separate voltage in the primary or secondary will be induced. I'm not going into these details. Then, according to the law of reciprocity, the same fraction of the total flux generated by I1, that is primary current, passes through the second coil as the fraction of total flux generated due to the I2 secondary current passes through the first coil. That means phi 1 2 divided by phi 2 2 equal to phi 2 1 divided by phi 1 1 equal to k, where k is the coupling coefficient. The simplified two-port network representation with open circuit self-inductances, that is L11 and L22, and mutual inductance L12, where in two-port network configuration V1 and V2 can be represented in a matrix form. Now, the complex impedance of the primary probe or coil is defined as Z coil, which is equal to V1 divided by I1, which is usually normalized to the reactance X reference equivalence to omega L11 of the probe coil. When the secondary is open, that means the coil or some UD under test is not there. Now, if we assume that the secondary coil is loaded by RE, when the secondary that material is present in that case, then resistance should be represented as Re. Then the eddy current loop starts with V2 equal to minus I2 Re. Then Zn, that is final impedance, can be readily solved to get the normalized input impedance, and that impedance will be modified due to defect or discontinuity of the unit under test. So in a nutshell, we can say in eddy current systems are closed loop of induced current circulating in a plane perpendicular to the magnetic flux. It can confined to the area of induced magnetic field, and it's concentrate near the surface adjacent to the excitation coil, and strength decrease with distance from the coil. But the eddy current can be quantified as depth of penetration. As you know, eddy current concentrate near the surface adjacent to the excitation coil, and their strength decreases with distance from the coil, as shown in figure. Eddy current density decreases exponentially with depth. This phenomena is called skin depth or skin effect. Rather, the depth that eddy current penetrates into the material is affected by the frequency of the excitation current and the electrical conductivity and magnetic permeability of the specimen. The depth of penetration decreases with decreasing the frequency and increasing the conductivity and magnetic permeability. The depth at which the eddy current density has decreased to 1 upon E, as you all know, and about 37% of the surface density is called the standard penetration depth. Now, the various parameters affect the eddy current generation, and they are mainly electrical conductivity of the materials. Materials that have a characteristic resistance to a flow of electricity, which is characterized with the material electrical conductivity sigma, or inverse resistivity rho, which affect the eddy current flowing. Next one is magnetic permeability of the material. Materials of high permeability gives rise to increase in magnetic flux in the path, which induces strong eddy current leading to strong secondary magnetic field, and hence the depth of penetration is less in materials of high magnetic permeability. Another parameter, that is magnetic coupling. Magnetic coupling can be affected in two ways: lift off between the coil sensor and the inspected piece, and the coil fill factor. The edge effect also can affect the eddy current testings. When the probe is moving towards the edge of the sample under test, then eddy current can also affect the skin effect, as already discussed, of the current distribution of the test piece, and the phase lag and the signal to noise ratio. These are the parameters that can affect eddy current flow or generation of eddy current. This figure shows a schematic block diagram of a typical single frequency eddy current instrument. Most applications rely on continuous single frequency excitation. When combined with phase sensitive detection, this approach offers the best possible signal to noise ratio. However, single frequency measurement can offer only limited information on flaws and material properties and exhibit imperfect suppression of spurious lift-off variation, and therefore must be often used in shift frequency mode, that is rather time consuming. We'll discuss it in later. Eddy current equipment. Here is the basic eddy current equipment what we have developed at our lab, that is in-housely developed. Here you can see the probe, the device which containing the processing electronics and display unit also. Eddy current signals can be interpreted through impedance plane diagram, mainly impedance plane diagram. Just a minute. Yeah. Eddy current signal can be interpreted through impedance plane diagram, where the strength of the eddy current and the magnetic permeability of the unit under test causes the eddy current signal on the impedance plane to react in a varieties of ways. Two cases are discussed here. One is non-magnetic, that is aluminium, and another one is magnetic. If the eddy current circuit is balanced in here and then placed on a piece of aluminium, then the resistance component will increase because, as you know, the coil, the sample under test will draw much of the energy from the coil. That's why it will increase its resistance, and the inductive reactance of the coil decreases. If a crack is present in the material, the resistance will go back down, and the inductive reactance will go back up again, like this. And changes in conductivity will cause the eddy current signal to change in a different way. Again, when a probe is placed on a magnetic material such as steel, then what will happen? Here also eddy current will form, taking energy away from the coil, which shows up an increase in the coil resistance. In this case, the reactance increases. This is because magnetic permeability of the steel concentrates of the coil's magnetic, that in turn increases reactance. The presence of crack or a change in the conductivity will produce a change in the eddy current signal. As I have already discussed, the basic building blocks of eddy current comprises of an oscillator, which provides an AC to the desired excitation frequency to the test coil, which creates some primary magnetic field.
Your voice is very low.
Hello, can you hear me?
Your voice is very low, sir. Please
Okay.
close your mic near to it.
Sir, put this slide in. Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
It is okay now? Chandan, it is
What?
okay now?
It is
Yes,
okay.
it's okay, sir, but voice is something low, sir. Thoda.
Is it right now?
Now okay, sir. Your voice is audible, but bass is low. Okay, sir. Now okay.
Okay. Yeah, can I proceed now? Hello?
Yes, sir, proceed, sir.
Okay. So, as I have already discussed, the basic building blocks of eddy current comprises of oscillator or signal generator, which provides the AC of desired frequency to the test coil. Then the probe, which is the heart of the eddy current sensors, which brings out the desired information in the form of an electrical signal.
You are not audible.
Hello?
Sir, it is audible,
Hello?
sir.
Audible, sir, audible. Yes,
Then
yes.
no voice.
I'm not audible?
Chandan,
Audible, sir, audible. You are audible, sir.
Audible, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay.
Chandan,
Something
Yes,
is
sir.
Chandan.
Jayendra, sir, are you audible?
Yes, sir.
Chandan.
someone is calling Chandan. You?
Jayendra, sir, am I audible to you? Jayendra, sir, am I audible to you? Jayendra, sir, am I audible to you?
Yes. Tarun sir, voice is coming.
Okay.
Is it
Yes,
coming
sir,
now?
sir's voice is coming, sir.
Okay, sir. Proceed.
Next. So can I proceed now?
Yes, sir. Now it is very much audible.
Okay, good. The next part is the signal detection or processing unit, which comprises various parts or various so that based upon that requirement, that is a register or single coil system, bridge unbalanced system, inductance bridge systems, and through transmission systems. And the next part is the display unit or interpretation unit, where we can display, we can use as analog meter as a display. Oscilloscope also in XY configuration
Yes,
also
sir.
can be displayed. Yes. Hello.
आइए सर
Again not audible.
हाँ कोई नहीं बैठिए सर आपको मीट
Chandan,
Sir, is it audible to you, Jayendra sir?
the voice is audible to all of you.
Yes,
Yes,
voice
yes.
is audible, sir. Sir, you proceed with your presentation, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So as I mentioned earlier, probe contains the coil to produce varying magnetic fields. It is basically designed in different manner. Some disturbance is coming. It is
I request all participants, please be conscious about your mic. Please mute your mic because it really disturbs the speaker while speaking. So I again request all the participants, please mute your mic when the speaker is speaking. Sir, you carry forward with your presentation.
okay. So the probe mainly designed in different manners for the accessibility of testing materials and dimensions of the unit under test. And in order to optimize its performance, stray magnetic fields should be as low as possible. Probe selections is also to be dealt with due care in order to exploit its full potentials. And optimum performance can be derived from some of the features needs to be taken into account. These features are material penetration requirements, that is surface or subsurface, sensitivity requirements as well, type of probe, connections on eddy current instrument, probe and instruments impedance matching network, probe size, whether will be smaller probe will be required with less penetration, and probe type. Various types of probes are available. That is absolute configuration difference. I will come into this in later. Keeping in view of the sensitivity requirements and other related parameters, probe or coil may be ferrite core coil or air core coil. Based upon their usefulness, they are of different topologies like circular or meander shape. Maybe it's flexible in order to withstand high temperature or harsh environmental condition as well. Probes may operate in various modes such as absolute, differential, or reflection hybrid. These absolute probes are generally have a single test coil that is used to generate the eddy current and sense change in eddy current field. Differential probes have two active coils, usually wound in opposition. And in hybrid coils, two coils, one is used to excite the eddy current and other is used to sense change in the testing materials. There are various types of probes designed to be used about the geometry of the UT. These various type of probes are mainly surface probes. Surface probes typically mounted close to one end of a plastic housing, the coil end of the probe over the surface of the test component. Inside diameter or ID or bobbin probe, usually wound circumferentially around a plastic housing, primarily designed for inspection of inside of a tubular materials. Outside diameter or encircling probe, they are wound the circumference of a hollow fixture. These probes can be used to inspect bar, rods, as well as tubes, etc. Reference standard. In order to give useful data while conducting an inspection, signal generated from the test specimen must be compared with a known value or standard. These are typically manufactured from the same or a very similar material as the test specimen. there are various types of standards or calibration blocks are available in the market, or one can fabricate of this standard also. These are various type of reference standards are material thickness standard, where material thinning caused by the corrosion or erosion can be calibrated. Crack standard, in the crack standard, some of variety of shapes and sizes. ACE tubing PET standard, PET or corrosion standard also available, and non-conductive coating or paint standard with various thickness of paint. These are mainly used for thickness measurement or thickness measurement applications. Typical applications of eddy current testing. Eddy current testing has numerous applications in industrial sectors. There, mainly surface crack detection. As you know, surface crack or discontinuities cause a disruption in the circular flow pattern of eddy currents and weakens their strength. This change of strength of eddy current at the crack location can be detected by any means. Thickness measurement. As we all know, only certain amount of eddy currents can form in a given volume of materials. Thicker materials will support more eddy currents than the thinner materials. The strength, that is amount of eddy current, can be measured and related to the material thickness. As you can see, these are the materials which got corroded or eroded due to long service period, and this can be inspected through eddy current, that material losses. Next one is the non-conductive coating thickness measurement. As I can say, the coating displaces the eddy current probe from the conductive base materials, and this weakens the strength of the eddy currents due to lift of variation. This reduces in strength can be measured and related to the coating thickness. As you can see here, a probe is being scanned over a coated surface, and the signal level increases with the paint thickness. From this signal level will be calibrated, and from this calibrated signal we can easily measure the thickness of this coating using eddy current sensor. Further application can be included as monitoring of conductivity and permeability variation. Generally, eddy current is sensitive to change in material conductivity and permeability. As already I have said, this sensitivity allows the inspection method to be used for such inspection procedure as material sorting, material identification, determination of heat damage, cladding, and plating thickness measurement, heat treatment monitoring. As you can see here in the figure A, shows a schematic representation of eddy current probe coil impedance in the complex planes that permit that conductivity varies with this frequency curve, and easily that can be monitored through eddy current sensing. Next figure represents the permeability variation as a function of impedance. Beside the conductivity, the most important property that influences the eddy current response of conductor is their magnetic permeability. Increasing magnetic permeability, that is susceptibility as well, increases the probe's coil reactance, and to much a lesser degree its resistance. And from this calibration, we can easily measure this or monitor this magnetic permeability or susceptibility. There are numerous advantages with eddy current testing method, and hence it has been proved to be most versatile and suitable NDE techniques both in laboratory research and industrial applications. Most common amongst them are sensitive to small crack and other defect detection, detect surface or near surface defects. Inspection gives immediate results. Inspection gives immediate results. Equipment is very portable. Methods can be used for much more than flaw detection. Minimum part preparation is required. Test probe does not need contact the part. That is that it can operate in non-contact mode. Inspect complex shapes and size of conducting materials. Only things required is the modification of probe geometry based upon the sample or UT. Similar to other ND techniques, ACT has also got certain limitations. To name a few are only conducting material can be inspected. In this case, material or unit under test has to be conducting. Surface must be accessible to the probe. Skill and training required is more extensive than the other techniques. Reference standards needed for setup or proper measurement. Surface finish or roughness may interfere eddy current measurement. Depth of penetration is limited. Eddy current phenomena is only surface or to some extent subsurface phenomena. So in this case, only surface related defects or discontinuities may be measured, and flaws such as delaminations that lie parallel to the probe coil, winding, and probe directions are undetectable. Now we can proceed some multi-frequency eddy current. The effectiveness of conventional ECT, as I already told, is limited to the identification of only one or two test conditions, and thereby test conditions which limits their applications in defect or discontinuity which are located in the deep region of a material or unit under test. In order to overcome some of the issues associated with conventional ECT, such as smaller cracks in certain depth, estimation of cracks depth, etc., multi-frequency eddy current testing is being used nowadays. Multi-frequency eddy current testing expand capabilities of conventional eddy current testings and thereby save time. And since they allowed simultaneous testing, usually multi-frequency testings drives inspection coils at more than two frequencies, either sequentially, that is multiplexing, or simultaneously. They extensively used for tube inspection in the power generation or chemical and petrochemical industries, and quite often capable of being computer network, and may have as many as 4 probes attached to them at one time. Typical applications associated with these techniques are detections of smaller defects or cracks present in depth of the specimen or multi-layered samples. Crack characterizations and estimation of crack depth and height can be possible through this technique. Sectoral scanning of samples and 3D image construction using multi-frequency eddy current C scanning. Figure here represents raster scanning of a sample where a small crack at certain depth using multi-frequency eddy current probes and subsequent C scanning image. Multi-frequency eddy current can operate in various ways depending upon the requirements. one can excite single coil with signal having multi-frequency component either in time multiplex or multiplexing mode and frequency multiple frequency multiples mode. Another mode pertains to generating eddy currents of multiple frequencies with sample with more than one excitation coil excited with different frequencies. Here we can see two modes, that is, one is time multiplex multiple frequency and frequency multiplex multiple frequency. There are several advantages associated with multi-frequency eddy current testings. They allows increased inspection information to be collected from one probe pulley, provides for comparison of same discontinuity signals at different frequencies, allows mixing of frequencies which helps to reduce or eliminate sources of noise and quite often improves detection, interpretation and sizing capabilities of discontinuities. It has also got some of the challenges in carrying out testing. The lower components of frequency of wideband signal imposes low magnitude of the induced signal, leading to affect the sensitivity of the pickup coil. The tone comprising multi-frequency generated through time multiplexing mode is time consuming, makes the system or scanning process more lengthy. Amplitude and number of tones required to be optimized in order to get the optimized performance. Now, we can approach another technique, that is pulse eddy current techniques. These techniques has been improved one after another that based upon their performance and requirement of applications. As one kind of eddy current testing technology, the pulse eddy current testing technology is based on the principle of same electromagnetic induction and is used to detect the defects in conductive materials. The principle of pulse eddy current testing is basically the same as that of the conventional eddy current testings, and differences are the means of excitation only and the signal analysis method. Due to jump of the excitation pulse at the rising and falling edges, eddy current will be induced in the specimen. Compared to the conventional eddy current testing using single frequency sinusoidal excitation, frequency spectrum of the excitation signals of the pulse eddy current testing has richer content. And with it, the response will contain multi-frequency components. That is, richer component in response will be analyzed in this case. Advantage over its conventional counterpart. There are numerous, like other techniques, there are also numerous advantages associated with pulse eddy current testing. Most common are pulse eddy current inherently has a broadband frequencies, which has better noise suppression compared to conventional eddy current testing. Rich frequency component enables inspection of thicker specimen, capabilities of detecting, evaluating defects in the deep region. It incorporates less complex instrumentation and pickup signal processing algorithm. And lift-off sensitivity is very low in this case as compared to the conventional eddy current testing. Pulse eddy current testings can also be applied to those applications where conventional eddy current has significant drawbacks or limitations. Most common are inspection of riveted assemblies, slants, objects of irregular surface. Potentially, they can be used for detection of corrosion in multiple layered structure. That is corrosion mapping. Entire corrosion mapping is possible through this technique. Inspect and characterize coating on metallic structure, and it can evaluate of pipe wall thinning in power plants components. Here you can see the basic building block of pulse eddy current testing technique, and several structures which have been corroded or eroded are shown here. Pulse eddy current testing is also associated with some of the drawbacks or challenges like sensitivity and resolution of the pickup coils, its dynamic range, etc. In order to cope up these parameters, or the some of the magnetic sensors are being explored nowadays instead of a pickup coil. In fact, sensitivity of the pulse eddy current testing can be greatly enhanced using magnetic sensor. Among the various magnetic sensors available, we can use in pulse eddy current testings are mainly SQUID, that is superconducting quantum interference devices, flux gate sensor, AMR sensor as well, GMR, giant magnetoresistive sensor, GMI, giant magnetoimpedance sensor, and Hall sensor. However, in terms of applications and ease in use, they also faces some of the challenges like SQUID. SQUID has the highest sensitivity, but the system is more bulky, not portable at all. We cannot take it to the field, and its cost is expensive, prohibitively expensive. Further, it requires a coolant in order to operate it. Hall sensor also can be used, but it has low sensitivity and resolutions, and its noise level is high. Thus, other sensors, other techniques like flux gate, AMR, GMR, or GMI sensors are good candidates for the small defect detection in thicker samples or materials. Now, I will touch upon various activities that we are being involved at CSIR NML, a complete perspective of electromagnetic research, what we are carrying out at CSIR NML. Those activities involved development of measurement and analysis technologies, fabrication of devices or sensors for industrial application based upon the need of the stakeholder, quantitative characterizations of the materials and structure in a non-invasive manner. Since most of the activities associated with the development of sensors or technologies sponsored by various stakeholders,
preparation comes before success, even in the dictionary.
Dr. Ajay Kumar Bansal, can you please unmute your mic?
should I proceed?
Sir, please carry on. Yes, sir. Please carry on with the presentation.
Okay. Since most of the activities associated with the development of sensors or technologies sponsored by various stakeholders with a complete research cycle starting from the fabrication of the sensors to to developing process electronics, then to graphical user-friendly graphical GUI development, and finally its in situ applications in order to meet the customer demand. Various steps of the activities are sensor fabrication, which included some sub topics, that is sub task mainly. That is, we optimize the sensor or probe through simulation, then coil design. The coil is being characterized through through some parameters, then is packaging and encapsulation. All of these activities done at our end. Then prototype development or prototype device development, which included the entire processing electronic development of entire processing electronics, integration with this probe and the device, and its calibration. Another work that is we do in the embedded system development. It's nothing but an integration of the hardware and the software and these of these prototype devices, and also pertains to user-friendly graphical user interfaces. And finally, we do in situ application, which includes performance evaluation at the plant and plant implementation as well. One such activity we have carried out is the development of low-cost online defect detection systems of high-end drawn wares. The project was sponsored by Mr. Tata Steel Limited, Tarapur wire mill mainly. We call it as FlowGuard, a cost-effective online defect detection system. The background of the activity was, as you know, quality assurance of wires, rods is of prime importance to the wire drawing industries. Any surface defect such as seams, crack, pit, slivers, and or oil line defects in wire can lead to premature failure at the customer end while in use or in service. Therefore, the requirement is to design low-cost application-specific defect detection system that can be installed in a large number of wire drawing lines. Existing flaw detection systems are prohibitively expensive for large-scale implementation. Keeping in view of these drawbacks or loopholes, we designed this FlowGuard, which is based on the principle of eddy current testing. The sensing probe is basically an encircling coil that can work on differential or absolute mode. It can be used for wires of diameter ranging from 1.5 millimeter to 13 millimeter. Only thing is we need to design the probe. It can satisfactorily work at the wire drawing line speed up to 12 meter per second with a depth resolution of 100 micron. The defect can be monitored through audio-visual alarm. The system is equipped with analog output channels for further signal analysis, and inbuilt software has been incorporated for data logging in order to identify the defect location. But the most important aspect of the device is its affordable cost. It's cost about 5 lakhs only. One unit of the systems has already been installed at Tarapur wire mill, Mumbai, and it is in use, or it is now in operation since 2017. The patent of this device has already been filed and the technology has been transferred to an Indian party. These are the technical specifications of this device. I am not going into the details of these specifications. But the system has got several unique or competitive features that have been incorporated in this device, which are not available in the conventional systems. They are signal representation. Signal representation include graphical representation as well as data logging, post-processing, and defect location identifications. Defect characterizations also have been incorporated through software. Mainly defect severity like low, medium, or high can be inferred by the system or setting. A threshold value of defect has been put into the device, software, and based upon this threshold value, the system can identify whether the defect is low, medium, or high. Customized software includes front panel, as you can see in this diagram. Configuration and report generation module or toolkits have been included. We have also included report generation toolkit, wherein dedicated software for controlling inspection process along with customized advanced report generation tool has been incorporated. A comprehensive report of graphical as well as log data of each run in a tabular format as per the occurrence of the event, like low or several defects, and number of defects with respect to each event have been incorporated. ASCII data, which are not available in the conventional systems, has also been accessible to the stakeholder operator in order to do some post-processing analysis. Further, the device also equipped with remote sensing facility through internet, customized software for smart monitoring and control, and accessible of real-time data from highly secured cloud server. SMS alert and email facility have also been made available so that user can keep an eye on the quality of the end product from remote location. Performance evaluation was done through several plant trials of this device. First plant trial was conducted at ISWPL Jamshedpur. Since this ISWP is our close proximity to our laboratory, the eddy current probe was positioned in line with the wet drawing line of diameter 1.7 to 2.2 mm. The wire was drawing at a speed of 5 to 10 meters per second. And the sensor was, in order to minimize the vibration of the sensor, several pulley arrangement was positioned in and around the sensor. And at this junction, I must mention the wholehearted support and cooperation from the plant people are greatly acknowledged. Without the support of the plant people, this type of trials could not be possible at all. After successful trials at ISWP Jamshedpur, the device was installed or commissioned at Tarapur wire mill, Mumbai. Trial was conducted at machine number 212 for 1.6 mm MTB wire. The trial was conducted at a speed of 1 to 10 meters per second. different types of manually induced defects, that is, cut marks such as cutter marks and transverse crack were inspected in this trial. And observation of weld line defect, we in the performance evaluation of this trial was observed at, we found weld line defects were detected at all speed from 1 to 10 meter per second, whereas other defects, minor defects mainly of depth reduction 10 micron or 15 micron, defects like slivers, lap, fin were detected up to 5 meter per second successfully, and beyond that speed, some modification is required in order to improve its sensitivity of this device. At this junction also, I would appreciate the support or cooperation extended by the Tarapur wire mill people, and these supports were gratefully acknowledged. As you can see, these are the defects which have been created manually, where cutter marks, transactions of the wire, or some of the mechanical file or damage created in the along the length of the wire. Now we move to the next application. Another industrial application, what we did with Mr. Tata Steel is a real-time zinc coating thickness measurement systems for wires and rods. We have given the name Zincometer, a real-time zinc coating weight measurement systems. Requirement of this type of application in industrial sectors are numerous. As you know, zinc coating is the most effective and widely used process to prevent corrosion and increase the longevity and performance of steel wires or rods. Zinc coating is generally applied to steel wire by hot dip galvanizing process. Hot dip galvanizing is one of the best way to produce superior homogeneously coated products in cost effectively manner. In this process, the steel wire is passed through a bath of molten liquid zinc or zinc alloy, resulting in a protective layer. The final quality of galvanized wire depends on the material surface, zinc adhesion, and uniform coating weight. In fact, many producers verify hot dipped zinc coating weight after the coil exit the mill. At this point, if materials and production cost increases, or premature failure can occur if the thickness is either too thin or too thick. Generally, wiping technology, there are two technologies, that is nitrogen wiping for thick coating and pad wiping for thin coating, are adopted in order to address these issues. However, in the pad wiping galvanizing process, during production, due to a number of process conditions, steel wire coating weight inevitably fluctuates, that leads to variation of coating thickness that mainly contributes to the instability of the product's quality and also the loss of costly raw materials like zinc. Hence, there is an utmost need for monitoring real-time coating thickness and product quality of galvanized wire. These issues motivated us to develop a real-time, non-contact industrial sensing system coupled with data processing and feed-forward control mechanism that is capable of working in harsh industrial environment while providing immediate feedback on zinc weight during production, or even at high speed and thin coating, leading to the maintaining of uniform desired coating weight. We did a survey during the trial, and we have found this type of application potentially has during its field trials. In the Tarapur wire mill itself has 40 GI coated lines, and ISWP Jamshedpur has 40 lines. Also Thailand, Tata Steel Limited also 30 lines. And we know at Tarapur wire mill, only 10 thick coating lines are equipped with zinc control system. Further, no coating measurement and control system exist for the rest 30 lines, which results in excess coating and higher zinc consumption. As a cost of the zinc, as the data provided by the plant people, at the cost of the zinc is 2.15 lakhs per ton. So saving about 2.5% with zinc control systems will be possible. In a nutshell, issues that can be addressed as non-existence of inline zinc coating thickness measurement in the commercial line make the producer handicapped to assess the required weight. Impact of this technique would be overcoating of zinc leads to a huge economic loss, and extra mill operation time leads to more CO2 emission. In order to address all these issues, a complete R&D cycle was carried out that comprises of coil design, device fabrications, performance evaluation, etc. Each of these activities also associated with some sub-activities towards the development of the smart sensing devices. These sub-activities are simulation, characterization of this coil, mainly static characterization at this juncture, then packaging, encapsulation, etc. Then fabrication also includes some hardware and software, which we call it embedded system design and its calibration. And performance evaluation was carried out through several plant trials also. As already I spoke out, the coil or coil or probe fabrication contains various sub activities such as simulation of the coil in order to optimize its performance. Simulation was carried out in SIVA platform. Once the simulation parameters were freezed, we did final coil design, giving it a proper shape and encapsulated it in a suitable enclosure. Its static characterization was done through an impedance analyzer. Then the probe was connected to the in-housely developed central processing central processing unit, which comprises of impedance matching network, and other processing electronic circuitry. An embedded system was designed through GUI developed integration protocol development on LabVIEW platform. Signal level was acquired and logged in a PC unit through a NI-based DAQ card. Proper calibration and mathematical model was developed on the software platform in order to represent the zinc coating thickness in terms of GSM, gram per square meter. Several field trials were carried out of this device also in order to evaluate its optimized performance. One such field trials was carried out at ISWP Jamshedpur as well during August 19. The sensor was placed in line with the galvanized line next to the molten galvanized bath. Although signal level in terms of GSM were found encouraging, little variations were observed due to the vibration of the line and the wire and the mounting or positioning of the sensor probe. Hence, the next trial was carried out at Tarapur wire mill during September 19 at heavy coating line of GSM value 280 to 340 with nitrogen gas wiping arrangement. Some of the lines of this unit, some of the lines already have equipped with some imported sensor, that is FIB Belgium. So CSR enamel sensor was positioned at one of the empty line along with the FIB sensor in one case, and in another case, as you see here, in one case a CSR enamel sensor was placed in one empty line, and in another case CSR enamel sensor and FIB sensor is placed in tandem, one after another. Proper arrangement were made in order to minimize the vibration in this line. A detailed performance evaluation report was studied with respect to the FIB sensor during this trial. For overcoating weight, both recorded weight, zinc weight up to 50 GSM. In the case of undercoating, CSR enamel sensor recorded about 270 to 275 GSM value. At this juncture, in order to match with this coating thickness with this standard value, proper calibration required to be done in the lower range. Here is the performance evaluation report, wherein a comparison between FIB Belgium sensor and CSR enamel sensor with actual lab coating results is drawn. Both the sensor recorded various GSM values as a function of time. This data has been compiled by the Tarapur wire mill personnel. Maximum deviation in coating weight observed is about 20 GSM in both these cases. Another trial was conducted at low coating. Coating weight is about 60 to 90 GSM. Pad wiping line. In this case, WADA was chosen about 2.64 mm, 2.64 millimeter, and grade is TW05. In the pad wiping line, due to number of process conditions, coating weight inevitably fluctuates, leading to the variation of coating thickness that not only contribute to the instability of the product, but also loss of costly coating raw materials like zinc. As confirmed by the TWM personnel, pad wiping loosen its grips with time and overcoating takes place as reflected in the figure here. Now we will have some different flavors of EM electromagnetic activities at CSR NML. Apart from eddy current based activities and application, CSR NML also ventured out some other electromagnetic NDT activities that have been found potential in industry and academia. One such activity is magnetic hysteresis loop and magnetic Barkhausen emission. Probably all of you are aware that on the microscopic scale, magnetic hysteresis loop is not found to be the smooth function of magnetic induction and the magnetic field. The magnetic induction curve consists of discontinuous changes, although the field is continuous. Particularly the near the coercive points of the material, the magnetic induction curve shows a structure composed of many individual steps, as you can see in the hysteresis loop. Many individual steps which are caused by sudden jumping of domain walls from one position to another during magnetization process. These small microscopic steps caused by irreversible changes in magnetization. These are known as magnetic Barkhausen emission, MBE. The irreversible motion of 180-degree domains are mainly responsible for MBE signal. Figure shows magnetic hysteresis loop and the corresponding magnetic Barkhausen emission burst created for full magnetization cycle as shown in the figure. Magnetic Barkhausen emission signal can be quantified in terms of peak amplitudes, root mean square voltage, number of pulse counts, pulse height, distribution, etc. On the other hand, MHL parameters can be identified as coercivity, remanence, permeability, and saturation magnetization. Keeping in mind of all these parameters, CSR NML has developed an integrated device called MagStar, a magnetic device for damage detection. It is basically a integrated solution for microstructural change evaluation in ferritic steel in a non-invasive way. The device, featured as it is, uses surface probe. The system can simultaneously measure hysteresis as well as magnetic Barkhausen or MB parameters. The device is capable of differentiating damage at the inner and the outer surface of the device, exposed tube by varying magnetizing parameters, and its working it can work in a dual frequency mode, that is 10 Hz and 120 Hz. Application of these devices pertains to mainly microstructural phase evaluation, residual stress determination, etc. The device has been developed in collaboration with Messrs. Technophore Pune, and it has been supplied to various industries as well as some academia like JSW Steel Bellary, BRC Mumbai, NTPC Netra, and IIT BHU. Another unique sensing technology, CSIRNML, has been developed in-house, that is MagSys. This is mainly a giant magnetoimpedance sensor. We call it MagSys. Some of the soft magnetic materials, mainly amorphous materials in the form of wires and ribbons, shows some unique features. Once excited through high frequency AC current. Once it is excited through a high frequency current, a large change in complex impedance of the soft magnetic materials changes upon application of an external magnetic field. These can be represented as GMI ratio, which is represented here. The technology has this technology has also been transferred to an Navratna company, that is Messrs IOCL Faridabad, and its application is mainly microstructural phase evaluation and residual stress determination. Like other techniques, it has also got some of the application in the field of NDE as well. One such activity that we carried out at petrochemical refinery unit, mainly NTPC Netra, we did an evaluation of damage in Johnson screen due to long service period and exposed to harsh industrial environment. Carbonization occurs during naphtha cracking, which is in magnetic phase. This magnetic phase can be detected using GMI sensor in non-invasive way. There are also some of the advantage application of these techniques, not going into the details. Now, keeping in view of the present scenarios where application demands are more critical, CSIRNML are being ventured out of some new initiative in frontier research. In order to do so, some of the areas that have already been identified as sensors or devices at high temperature and pressure, which is a global demand. Predictive model for diagnosis and prognosis protocol. If we look at the background in this domain, one can easily find out that structural health monitoring of critical engineering components used in industries is of crucial importance nowadays and a very challenging task. The hostile operating environment of the components, such as high temperature, contraction, expansion, vibration, etc., may lead them to suffer from creep, thermomechanical fatigue, environmental attacks, etc. The present venture aims to bridge the gap by developing application-specific high-temperature sensor for accessing and monitoring of such degradation during operation at high temperature and pressure. The goal is to provide superior performance for in-situ material condition monitoring, such as material degradation, flaw detection, stress relaxation, and or creep monitoring through wall temperature measurement, etc. There have been numerous applications in this domain as well, And possible end user are mainly wire drawing industries, power or petrochemical industries, and or steel industry, etc. Proposed approach in this technique has already been adopted and finalized, keeping in mind of the sensitivity requirements and environmental conditions. We found LTCC, low temperature co-fire ceramic techniques, would be more suitable for sensor fabrication. It is nothing but a multi-layer coil connected in series, high temperature green tape substrate that can withstand up to temperature about 1200 degrees Celsius are being used, and the coil are sintered at a temperature of about 850 degrees centigrade to fabricate a complete sensor package. Performance optimization of this type of sensors will be carried out in-house through some various characteristics parameters like static behavior analysis. Static behavior analysis includes sensor characterizations for impedance, mainly resistance, electrical parameters characterization, temperature influence on the sensor behavior, dynamic behavior, mainly rotating systems and how the circuits and DAQ are behaving once it is integrated with the sensors. Then on-site measurement clearance and changes of unit under test, and signal processing and analysis. Finally, in situ application like creep study will be there in order to optimize its performance. From my side, that's all about what I have to deliver. And this is our motto: innovate solution and technology for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, sir.
So I would request participant, if you have any question, if you want to ask anything to this speaker, then you can feel free to ask. So
excuse me,
Yeah.
for remote application, is there is any protocol system developed?
Yeah, we have developed
Okay.
remote monitoring, rather, I would say.
Remote monitoring.
Not directly application field through this remote monitoring, but remote monitoring capability already we have incorporated some in the device that can be remotely monitored. You will get some SMS or some mail alert, so whether your system is in functioning properly or not on the shop floor. That's all.
And one more question: in case of magnetic application,
Yeah.
For moving coil and moving magnet, which one is better for flux variation?
Moving coil or moving magnet? Moving coil means that probe or sensor that you have developed.
Probe.
So you would like to move that probe, what you have fabricated.
Yes.
That can be possible through scanning. You have to have some arrangement. Either you would like to have a raster scanning or vector scanning. That won't be a big deal nowadays.
Okay. In that case, the transformer utilization factor in mutual inductance cases, the transformer utilization factor must be taken into account. How to?
It has to be, and it has to be taken into account through probe fabrication, mainly simulation and other parameters. So once it is fabricated, those parameters have already been taken into account.
अच्छा.
Okay, na?
Okay.
Any further questions from the audience side?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, carry on.
Related to complex impedance. So,
Hmm.
what is the actually impedance in taking role in measurement?
Pardon?
How impedance is taking role in structural health monitoring?
Impedance has a big role, no? It will modify your probe, coil. It will modify your coil. Once it is, that coil is being faced of some crack or discontinuity of the unit under test, then its impedance will modify, na? It will draw some energy from the coil, na? So what the coil will do, it will increase its impedance.
Yes.
Is not it?
But at what frequency
Yeah, but
will operate? And how will know? For different material, maybe different frequencies there. How will choose the frequency?
yes, it has to be there. You have to analyze at what frequency you will carry out your experiment based upon your defect or how its defect depth of the defect, how long, mainly surface or subsurface. Then you have to optimize its frequency. Based upon that frequency, your impedance will change. Once you have to freeze that frequency first. Got it?
Is there any standard frequency that for this to this frequency, even this material, or that kind
No,
of
we
thing?
cannot say exactly there is standard any frequency, but you have to have a trained personnel who can have this type of depth or this type of crack or this type of defect frequency can be optimized through in this range. That's way you have to have some experience. Otherwise, you do some trial and error or you to do some simulation sort of thing. Then you have to have optimize this frequency. But there is no hard and fast rule. You don't know that natural defect at what depth, what type of defect will come in the plant level. So you don't have any idea. So based upon that defect, you have to realize what type of at what frequency will operate your equipment.
Hello.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
In case of capacitance response, the frequency is non-linear. How to linearize it?
No, this type of sensor we have to have the stray capacitance or parasitics has to be minimum as possible. So we are not considering here the capacitive effect.
The response of frequency is not linear in case of change in capacitance.
Correct. But that probe has to be designed in such a way that the stray capacitance and other capacity related parameter has to be minimum as possible.
In that case, is there any electrostatic shielding used?
It should be there, electrostatic shielding in the probe. If you use some ferrite core probe, that's all. This is the natural shielding. The field will concentrate near the core itself. In that way, we can shield it.
What types of shielding normally used?
Yes, shielding.
Yeah.
Shielding mainly different layer of shieldings are mainly used, mainly mu metals or aluminium shielding, etc., etc. But in the designing process itself, we use to minimize its stray capacitance. If we use some ferrite core coil, then field are mainly concentrated on the coil itself, ferrite core itself.
Okay. So why you were using that zinc coating? Why not the nickel coating?
It can be used, but zinc coating application has come to us from the plant people, from the stakeholder itself. That's why we took up that activity. That is sponsored work, sir, sponsored project work. Nickel can be also explored. Nickel, copper, whatever you can use. That material has to be conducting.
Zinc coating, what advantage this zinc coating has? It is costly rather than.
It is costly only. Higher coating will cost you more. Lower coating will cause the material degradation or material performance or material quality, etc. So that coating has to be optimized.
Okay.
So any further question from audience side? So I suppose there is no question raised from the audience side. So I would like to thank Dr. Tarun Kumar Das for this informative session, and the topics which were discussed are very informative, and even the participants have commented in their chat box that the session was very valuable in terms of information for solving the issues of the industry, and also it has been loved by many people. So with this, I would like to thank sir for sparing his time, valuable time, and give us a lecture note on electromagnetic eddy current sensor in this forum. And to the participant, I would like to say that the next session will begin from 3 p.m. onwards. So now you can have your lunch break. I will request all the participants to cater in this forum by around 2:45 or 2:50 p.m. so that we can begin with the session in the proposed time. So thank you, Tarun sir, for presenting this work.
Yeah, thank you, Chandan as well, and Dr. Kumar, Dr. Jayendra Kumar, for giving me this opportunity to have a lecture on this type of forum. And thank you all participants from my side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your cooperation, sir.
Okay, well, thank you, bye.
Your cooperation is always, sir, welcome at this type of forum, sir, because we all are in this forum. 99.99% are from the academia only. So
Okay.
such type of industry and labs, the CSIR labs experience is too much useful for the academia. So that I have invited you in this particular type of FDP. Generally, this type of FDP only academicians from NIT or IT are involved. Very
Okay,
few
okay.
workshop or FDP. The organizer have involved in the different parts of the country's lab engineers or scientists. So that I have planned this with the help of you only, because you are the one of my stakeholder of this particular program. So thank you very much to you.
Yeah. We will be
I request
available.
all of you. I request all of you, please switch on your camera for a minute, so that we can take some snapshots. Just now, please go fast. All of you, please switch on your cameras. Chandan? Your laptop, some photos.
Tarun sir, can you please unshare your presentation?
Unshared na, Chandan?
I think it is still sharing. I think you have to go in that share screen mode option. Yes. Okay. Now it is okay, sir.
Okay.
It's okay. So yes, sir. Okay, sir. So all participants, please turn on your camera so that I can take one snapshot of your presence. Just hold for a while.
You can take also 49 pictures in on your screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is only I am doing. Actually, yes. Now it is appearing well. Okay, thank you participant for cooperating, and now we will have a break for a couple of minutes, our lunch break, and again we will cater here at 2:45 p.m.
Okay, Chandan, bye. Bye,
Thank you, sir.
Chandan. Thank you.
Chandan, please stop recording.
Hello, pardon, sir.
Stop recording.
Okay, sir. Okay, yeah.